Oh, gnarly, dude. Looks like you just went overboard. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Overboard. I'm your host, Anthony.
And I'm your host, Jenny.
And today we have a very special guest. We have my good friend, Siena. We used to work together, but she's been doing a lot of really cool things with health and nutrition and hydration. And she's kind of like a little health guru. Is that cool enough to say? Like, can we call you a health guru?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I would say that's definitely, my thing. Most people know me as
she's calling, right? So, so honestly, like when we used to hang out a lot, right? You were still in school. Well, we were both still in school, but you were going for anthropology, right? And now you've kind of, you've stepped more into like, you became a yogi, right? And made this awesome like yoga transformation. Right. So I guess like, how did you start that? Because I was like thinking you were going to go be like an archaeologist, right? Or do some anthropology things.
And I did do archaeology for a while. And those were totally connected because really I was studying anatomy. I was studying bones and evolution and like how our bodies evolved to move, how our bodies evolved to digest. That's what I was really interested in when I was at Michigan and like kind of digging into that side of human science. But I've always been into yoga. Yoga was like my total like healthy crutch all through school, high school and college. And I definitely got really into the philosophy side of it in college, but really it started in high school, man. I was like 16. And really what started the whole health journey was I got super sick when I was 16. I got mono really bad. It like knocked me out of school for a few months. And I like lost so much weight that I couldn't be an athlete in the same way that I was before. So that's what really shifted my focus to yoga. And at the time, this was such a curse, but looking back, it was a beautiful blessing that I, couldn't participate in sports and had to shift from a team and like kind of community-based thing to like a really individual and like reflective kind of self journey. So that was kind of my yoga catalyst. I was super sick in high school, and then kind of got better enough through college and was like healthier early college. And then my last couple years, junior, senior year of school, it kind of came back, like this sort of illness and like the chronic illness and like chronic fatigue, feeling like just like not behind my eyeballs is what I would say. Like I was just kind of in zombie mode. And I knew it wasn't me. My friends were just kind of like, maybe she's depressed. I don't know, like, but everybody knew like this is not.
Yeah. Cause you've always been a very super bubbly person. I feel like very energetic. Right. So I can't imagine, you not being like that. Right.
Totally. And like, exactly. And like, and I think too, I was away from home. So like my family, like my parents who would really be like, okay, something is not right. I didn't have that sort of voice. So I kind of had to like do it on my own. And that's what really propelled me into, wanting to teach yoga, was how much I needed it, like through college, to quiet the mind and to reduce stress and all of that. But I didn't realize that I was building a foundation to become a teacher and to be able to spread this message and teach this beautiful practice. And that way other people kind of have that healthy crutch and that, that home practice, and I guess when I say home, that like your heart home, your heart center type of, so then it kind of all came full circle with what I studied in school and the nutrition side of it, because I got super into Ayurveda. Are you guys familiar? Have either of you
Absolutely
heard
No
of
idea.
Ayurveda? Yeah, so Ayurveda is so cool, you guys, and it's totally like unknown or just kind of like not well known, but it's the sister science to yoga. So if yoga is this like exploration of the soul and this kind of like ethereal type of science, Ayurveda is the science that's like in this dimension on earth. And it's the kitchen science.
Kind of starts with
so
what
it's
you're
the
putting
science
into your
of-
body necessarily, right? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how a lot of yogis think of it, is that that's where it starts, because how can you transcend a vessel that isn't healed? So it has to start in the kitchen, and it has to start in the physical body, the physical material that we're putting into it. So like once I kind of got into that, and I learned about that in yoga teacher training, really what Ayurveda is. And so the past year, I've just been like such a book nerd, like finding these like ancient texts and these, they call them sutras. Sutra means thread. And so it's a thread of text. And that's how you're meant to digest this information, is just one thread at a time. So that's like really how I learn, is like I'll read one little bit and then look for it in life. And then I can observe it in how I eat and how other people eat these practices, or sometimes it's noticing a type of energy.
Right.
So, fire energy, for example, we see fire energy in spicy foods, in acidic foods. How does that affect you physically? How does that affect someone emotionally?
Wow, I've never even thought of food.
And there's all these
like
different
that.
qualities.
Like
Yeah.
I never think of food as having an energy, right? Like I know, like when I know what thing, like lately I've been paying attention to the things that like I put in my body, right? That make me feel good, make me feel like I'm bloated or have low energy. But like I never really assigned energies to those types of foods, right? So that's really cool.
But think about it. It's
It makes
sun.
sense.
I mean, fruits and vegetables, like the food that grows, it's sun energy, just
Right.
kind of, in a different form. And so, that's kind of what I was talking about on Instagram today, was energy. When it comes in, when we eat food, when that's energy coming in, it's not free. It takes energy to
Right.
digest. So, there's no such thing as free lunch. Like, it fits so well here because it takes 30% of the energy you eat, 30% goes into digesting. So it's not free,
Right.
Energy. If energy is our currency here, orange juice is nearly free. That's right there.
Right.
That sugar is right there for your body to absorb. But something like a bagel with peanut butter, it takes a lot longer, a lot more energy, a lot more different enzymes.
Right.
There's so much more that goes into it. So are you like helping your body out? Like, coconut water, nearly free. And that's like just doing what you can to help your body and kind of being on your body's side. Is kind of like how I've been thinking about it recently.
Okay. So
That's crazy.
So
I've never thought about it.
I did see what you were saying on Instagram today too, because you had the comparison of a bagel, and then an apple, and then what was the next thing? A bowl of oatmeal. Right? So like, I guess we'll just jump straight into
Which
the
was really
nutrition
good,
part
like-
of this talk. But like, as you said, like when you eat a lot of people might choose a bagel, right? And they think it's like dense filling going to carry them throughout the day, but it really does take a lot more energy to break down. And is that because of like the wheat, the gluten enzymes, or essentially?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So with wheat especially, like, gluten isn't named randomly. It is glue inside your body, and it's like
Elastic.
this sticky, think of like bread dough. Exactly. And a lot of us think of our bodies as like this vacuum, we just eat food and like, who the fuck knows what happens? It just goes away. And so what I really like to do is kind of take like food memes like that, and just kind of tell you why it's not true or what parts are true, because nutritionists, or maybe not even nutritionists, like to, spread information that way and simplify it. And a lot of times it's not that simple. Right. And it could be we just kind of need more information. And, most of us don't have nutrition degrees.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of like my favorite thing to do, is like take things like that and just dismantle it, or either kind of rewrite it in a way that's like, so this particular one was saying an apple, a bagel, and a bowl of oatmeal look the exact same to your body. Glucose, glucose, glucose. And they had like the, chemistry kind of breakdown, whatever, the molecular representation, exactly the same. And to a degree, yes, it's all energy. It's all glucose eventually. But orange juice is glucose like right here in your body. The bagel doesn't become glucose until like here in your body.
That totally makes sense, because you got to take time to digest and break that gluten down into the glucose. Whereas maybe like a fruit juice, or just straight up eating a fruit, right? Like, it strips away almost those sugars kind of immediately. Is that what you're saying? Like, so it's because I know when you eat, so like our dad's a personal trainer, right? So like we tried to learn a little bit about nutrition, or he always is talking about nutrition and stuff. But he what they tell you, like especially about diets and stuff, is they say like you want to stay away from like fruits because the sugar doesn't take as much time to digest. And like they focus on the aspect of what you were saying, where to digest things, your body takes energy to do that. So you're burning more. They focus on the burning calories aspect of eating something like a starch or a gluten.
Totally.
And they say, yeah, if you're going to eat fruit, like you want to eat like small amounts of it, or, stay away from too much juice if you're trying to like lose weight and stuff. And then people just find out that they're like, they're bloated or tired just from eating carbs all day.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like this really kind of weird rhetoric around carbohydrates. And it's your body's favorite source of energy. It's really the only source of energy that is effective for us. And that's because they're broken down early in the stomach. Proteins in the form of fat take a really long time to break down. And a lot of us, because we weren't taught food combining and like proper food combining, like a lot of the things we eat, like a hamburger, is against all food combining rules, So this kind of fruit fear stems from food combining rules, and it all has to do with putrefaction, which is like the grossest word, because it's a really gross process.
What does that mean? What does putrefaction mean?
Putrefaction is when food doesn't have adequate time to break down, or rather, it is staying in the body too long. Like your body's been working on it too long, and it starts to rot, and it starts to decay. That's kind of why
they say like stay away from red meat. Like you hear a lot of that too, right? Because it's really hard to digest red meat, or it just stays a lot longer. If you
kind of look at the intestinal tract of a lion or a carnivorous animal, it's super short. It's a third of the length of humans. So this food has to go through this like labyrinth maze inside of our intestines just to find its way out. And most food takes 12 to 24 hours to get through that whole maze. You don't want red meat at body temperature for 24 hours, right? Like, no. Ooh. Yeah. So that doesn't mean you can't ever eat red meat. It means if you're going to eat red meat, there should be nothing in its way.
So what does that mean?
So if you're eating, if you're eating a bagel, and you wouldn't eat a bagel with red meat or whatever, but if you're eating a hamburger, gluten. So that gluten takes so long to break down, but meat takes even longer. So if you're eating these together, the nutrients are not bioavailable. That's kind of the word nutritionists say. How bioavailable? Juice is super bioavailable. It's right there. Your body can metabolize it, grab that energy, and it's already in your bloodstream working for you. The meat's bioavailability, you're not going to be able to use that energy for like 2 days. So it has to be able to properly go through that whole process with nothing in its way. So if you were to eat, let's say, yogurt with berries, the yogurt takes a lot longer. So the fruit will start to rot while the yogurt is still breaking down.
So almost like you would want to eat the berries first, then eat your yogurt?
And like with time in between them, or just not together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so berries, fruit is the fastest. You want maybe 20 minutes. Eat your berries, eat your fruit breakfast, your fat-free fruit juice smoothie breakfast, and then wait a half hour. And then go for your bagel. Then go, for your protein.
Something else that I heard recently was that it's always been taught that we, have breakfast, lunch, and dinner is like the biggest meal of the day.
Yeah.
But somebody said that it was actually you should be eating your biggest meal of the day in the morning, because your digestive tract slows down when you go to bed. So if you're eating a big meal at night.
Yeah.
So is that true?
Yeah. So it is true. And I love that you brought that up, because that comes from Ayurveda.
Oh, really?
So in Ayurveda, yeah. So like I said, it's kind of all about the energy, the energetic qualities of food. And so Ayurveda talks about air, earth, and fire energies. And so so we as humans kind of go through times of the day where our earth energy is higher. And so this is at night, we're tired and we have more earth energy. And during the day, when the sun is up, we have more fire, more motivation, and we have more digestive fire. And this is how they talk about it, that our digestion is like a fire. And if you have a healthy, stoked fire, things are transforming, and you are transforming food into energy effectively. So 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is when we have the most fire. And so that's when you have the most digestive power, is when the sun is highest. And this makes sense intuitively, right? You think, I want to get my most difficult tasks done in the middle of the day when the sun is up. And so what's super interesting is they say you digest your food 10 to 2 p.m. And then 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is when you digest your thoughts.
Huh. Yeah.
So when you're sleeping at night. Yeah. So this is why I love Ayurveda. There's so many little like nuggets like that you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. But I would have never, So Ayurveda recommends a light breakfast and a light dinner, and that lunch is your kind of big power meal, where you really stoke the fire.
Okay, so then going further into like the nutrition part of that, what is like considered a balanced meal?
Okay, so going deeper into Ayurveda recognizes 6 different tastes. And these kind of represent the 6 different energies food has. And so like, have you ever, of course you have, but after dinner or after a meal, you're like, ooh, that was really good, but now I need something sweet.
Yeah.
And, or like, now I need something salty. It's like, you need something to balance.
I would be like, ooh,
whatever
I just ate a huge salty, like carb stacked meal. Can I get more like protein or like something salty, like a steak? Or I'm always hungry. I hate it, but I'm always hungry for like meat. Always. Like, I don't really have a sweet tooth, but I'll eat like potato chips as long as it's got salt. Like, even after I've just eaten a massive meal.
That's so funny.
Right?
Yeah. So I'm your way too. I'm like a sweet tooth that is not really a classic sweet tooth, but sweet as a taste in Ayurveda is not always sugary sweet. It's like sweet potato sweet. Like the foods that are warming and comforting and grounding, those are the sweet foods. So like rice and quinoa, these are also sweet, and they're dense and filling and satisfying, and they have this earth energy that kind of keeps us satiated and satisfied. But it's not going to take a day to break down.
Interesting.
So Ayurveda would say a balanced meal has these 6 tastes. And so they're sweet, sour, salty, astringent, pungent. And, you know, a lot of us, if you were to kind of make a little, like a Buddha bowl, you would probably have all of those tastes in there without thinking about it. But yeah, I can kind of like make you a little list if you want.
Awesome.
Because
it's
we'll
put it in the
it's cool
link
to look
description
at
to the video, because like we always like sharing, and this is like, I knew we were going to talk about like nutrition a little bit, but like I'm like, it's got me thinking about how I can transform like the way I eat. Like,
yeah,
that's awesome. And that's totally the point, you know, and like this knowledge, this, you know, Ayurveda comes from ancient India. This comes from 5,000 years ago, you know, and it's had to transform into contemporary, into like modern, because they did not have refrigerators. They did not have, you know, like so many things are different. You know, they didn't eat any mushrooms because who knew if they were poisonous or psychedelic, or so they stayed away from mushrooms completely, and just discrepancies like that. But that's the point of Ayurveda. Above all else, what Ayurveda means is to adapt. So, you know, if I have too much earth energy today, I'm going to adapt by eating foods with more fire and more air, and that way it will balance me. It will bring me closer to this harmony, this balanced state.
So, like, for me, I'm personally, like, a really horrible eater, but I also have a lot of sensitivities. Like, a lot of things, like, cause me nausea or bloating or, you know. So, like, I don't eat gluten anymore. I haven't in, like, 5-6 years, maybe?
It's been a while.
That's actually a while,
Wow,
But I have a problem with eating. I don't have a problem. I don't like the taste of like vegetables, like most vegetables I don't like.
Yeah.
So are there suggestions that you have for people that might not like vegetables that much, or like ways they can cook them that make them taste better?
Juice. Juice. Green juice, green smoothies, you know, that's the easiest way to get nutrients. And, you know, raw is better. You know, pretty much the rule of thumb, you know, with fruits and vegetables is that raw is better, because when you cook it, basically cooking is emulating digestion. You're like pre-digesting it. Like sweet potatoes, we need that. But with like apples, they start to break down. So it's better to just have them raw. Eating a bunch of kale, like a literal bunch of kale, seems insane. But when you juice it and it's only like this much juice, you're like, okay, I can stomach that. I can do that. And a lot of people kind of feel guilty or like they're throwing food out when they get rid of this juice pulp. But the secret is that's what you would shit out. So it's fine to just throw it out, because fiber is really what just helps your body move along anyway. Your body doesn't, you know, it doesn't absorb. It's just cellulose. It doesn't do anything for your body. So my number one advice would be to invest in a juicer when you can. You know, like, don't buy a shitty juicer. Save until you can buy a juicer that's worth it. And I can give you the juice deets too about how to find a good juicer. But that is the best way, really. And like, if you have cucumber, kale, apple juice, do more apples, and then you won't even taste the green.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get a juicer actually, but like you just said, like, I don't know what a good juicer is. And like, there's not a whole lot of people that have like information on like what a good juicer is, you know?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. And it's like, that's kind of like what led me to kind of be more active on Instagram and just kind of speak about what I'm doing is like, these things aren't taught to us. Like the food pyramid we know is complete horseshit. And like, nobody tells you, you know, you should eat fruit in the morning. You should never have fruit for dessert. Just simple things like that would make your life and your digestion so much happier. Why does no one tell us these things? But yeah, I guess without getting too conspiracy-y, people benefit. You know, there are a lot of players in the game that stand to benefit from you not knowing what's making you bloated and from you not being able to, you know, take care of yourself with food. And so that's really what I want to do is just give people the knowledge and therefore the power to make decisions that they know are benefiting them and how to be on your body's side. You know, you need vegetables, but you just don't know how. So, yeah. And I think a lot of us aren't taught how to cook vegetables either. Like, really, my honest advice would be to follow vegan chefs and definitely vegan chefs of color because they just know how to cook vegetables better.
Flavor too, I imagine.
And and you know, and that is speaking completely from experience of like what I've been a vegan for a long time. And so I've gone through the junk food vegan phase and the peanut butter jelly vegan phase and not knowing how to cook. And so, yeah, definitely just kind of get yourself into a community that is about it, that is about vegetables. And there's no need to like label yourself as, you know, plant-based or vegan or any of that. Just, you know, vegetables are there for everyone.
Right. So, because now I'm thinking, right? So like I've been trying to be better about eating vegetables because like Jenny, I was not about eating vegetables. And over the last like couple of years, I tried to make my meals incorporate a very good amount of vegetables, specifically like green vegetables, you know, like broccoli and lately I've been cooking with asparagus. But so like my remedy to not liking the taste of vegetables though is I have to eat them together with something else, right? And you mentioned earlier where, you know, we kind of just like clump foods together and then they could slow each other down or have like almost like you know, just resistant effects to each other, right? And
and that's exactly what happens with starches and proteins. But the cool thing about vegetables is they are a free-for-all. Vegetables are friends with everyone. So vegetables play nice with anyone.
And that's exactly how I eat it, right? So like I won't eat vegetables with a starch or a carb necessarily, unless it's like rice. But I will do it specifically with a meat. So like I'll cook chicken, I'll cook, you know, like steak or something. And I will eat those together because I know I like the taste of meat. I know regardless of what it is.
I totally get you.
So I kind of, that's how I sneak my vegetables in, right? Is I will eat a bunch of vegetables, with the meat. So what you're saying though is like, thankfully, vegetables and proteins won't have that counteract balance, but vegetables and starches will.
No, vegetables are good with everybody. Fruits are what you want to avoid with starches. Fruits
and then other proteins like meats you want to avoid with starches, which is they're always paired together.
Ideally.
Meat
Isn't
and potatoes.
That the thing?
That's
like
the staple of the American diet.
I know. Yep. And it wreaks havoc on your intestines.
I feel it. I've been paying attention to that more like as I eat too. And that's kind of like where I've been starting my like half-ass journey into nutrition, right? Like, but I do really pay attention to, you know, I just ate a bunch of meat and, you know, carbs. And now all I want to do is just go to sleep for the rest of the day. Or, you know, your brain is bogged down. I feel it in my head too, you know, like there's like this it's not as clear. I notice I'm not as focused. All I can think about is how exhausted and fatigued I am.
Yeah. So that has to do entirely with the energetic qualities of these foods. If you think about, a steak and potatoes, okay, this is a large, heavy animal. This animal does not run. So, there are qualities that come with that, setting aside all of the kind of nutrition. This is the more like spiritual side of nutrition. And then potatoes are a literally underground vegetable. So that's what comes with that kind of dullness, heaviness. So it makes total sense. And that's the first, like you said, this is kind of like the beginning of your journey. And that's the first step, is just noticing how you feel, noticing how different foods make you feel, because everyone will be different. I'm interested to see what the two of you notice, because sometimes siblings are like, they have genetically the same digestion, but sometimes one will take after mom or dad, and you'll have really different experiences with what foods do to you. So I encourage you to kind of compare notes about how different things affect you.
Yeah, Anthony's definitely got the stronger stomach. I have such a weak stomach.
Anything. I will eat anything, and Jenny, she's
eats nothing.
but it's kind of good that you eat, because Jenny eats it in a way where like she doesn't clump everything together, right? Like,
yeah, I normally eat like one thing at a time.
Which honestly, now that we're talking, is better than just clumping it together. So you've got the one half of the part that I don't have, where I'm a little bit more adventurous about what I'll eat. I'll try vegetables and stuff. I'll cook them up a certain way. She's very conservative on what she eats, but she does only eat one thing at a time.
Are you more of a grazer? Do you kind of eat like you're grazing?
Yes. Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. That's a really, and so keep doing it. That's a beautiful and perfect way to eat, because our brains love a steady stream of glucose to the dome. Like if you're just kind of, think about monkeys. Like think about where we evolved from. They are sitting around, they are chilling, snacking all day. And that's the healthiest, that's what we are most used to as primates, is this kind of like continual, gradual, slow, this kind of intermittent fasting craze is like new, and a lot of people are doing it, and it's super cool. And if we lived like super low stress lives, intermittent fasting would fit in a lot better, and it would fit in a lot healthier. But because we are not supporting our adrenals to begin with, usually folks are not fasting safely. And when you're taking huge hours, chunks of the day that you're not eating, you're doing more damage to your body by running on coffee and by running on caffeine and adrenaline. You're doing more damage by, depriving your body
No, that totally makes sense. Because I've done the intermittent fasting thing before, and I've modified it to kind of, it didn't work for me. And I like to go and exercise, and that's what they all say too, is like, you got to combine intermittent fasting with like weightlifting at the gym or something. And it's like, if you're intermittent fasting, you're not going to have like, unless you're like, you're not going to have the energy unless you're like, using juices. Like some people say they'll drink only juice in the morning on a day of intermittent fasting, right? And so like I could see that part working, but I don't have a juicer, and I'm not a huge juice person in general. I do love orange juice, but that's what they say. And so like people find that they just crash really hard after doing intermittent fasting, right? And you can feel how, like I've done it before, I will feel like I'm just going to pass out the rest of the day, just from it. Yeah,
totally. And like the scariest part of all of that is like, it's not just one day, right? So like, okay, let's say it is just one day and you skip breakfast and you have your matcha or coffee or whatever, and you don't eat until like 2 p.m. or like say some people don't eat till 6 or 7 p.m. And so your body is having to pump out adrenaline to keep you going all day. Adrenaline, cortisol is corrosive to your organs. It's like not at all something you would want to rely on. So it's like, and that, you guys, is what ages people. That is people dying at 55. That's people who like stress themselves to death, are the people who are running on adrenaline consistently, habitually. It's like deteriorating your heart, your liver, your brain, your central nervous system, like is not made to handle that. You know, that adrenaline is for like emergencies only. But our lifestyle kind of abuses that emergency only switch. So we just kind of get used to it. And we get used to this like being a little bit sweaty all the time because we're like on adrenaline.
Is
and
that
it's like
why I sweat all the time? Oh no.
So, and that's what it is, you know, like if you take
I used to take
cocaine,
Adderall
any
like, for a very long
amphetamine
time, especially through college.
Yeah. Okay. So remember the mornings where you would just take your Adderall and you wouldn't eat, or you would just have breakfast. You'd be not hot or working out or anything, but sweating.
My shirt, the armpits were drenched constantly. Like I would be self-conscious at school, right? Because like there'd just be this line of sweat down my arm, and I'm like, it's cold outside.
Yeah.
Standing at the bus stop, I'm drenched at the bus stop like the whole time. And it totally makes sense now because like, you don't eat, but then that's also technically an amphetamine, right? So you're just like, all pistons firing.
Yeah, it's drugs. I mean, adrenaline and cortisol is a drug to your body. And so pay attention now, because people get addicted to their own adrenaline just like any other drug. So you'll see in your life now people who are addicted to their own adrenaline and cortisol. It's like they like to be stressed out, and what it reminds me of is the kind of like millennial type of like grind, no sleep type of idea. And it affects your body so negatively. It's like you're just corroding your organs away, sweetie, sleep.
And not only that, but a lot of people I feel like do intermittent fasting, or like those doing the juice cleanses that last for like 3 weeks because they want to lose weight.
Yeah.
But the thing is, once you start eating normally again, you're going to gain all that weight back because your body's going to store it instead of using it, because they don't know when they're going to eat next. That's one of the things that like our dad always said. He's like, never like try to starve yourself to like lose weight, because the second you eat again, you're going to gain the weight back, maybe plus more weight. And like your body's going to store it all. So it's going to take longer to work it off because your body doesn't know when you're going to eat next, or if you're going to stop eating again.
It goes into that starvation mode, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, like what you were saying, right? The cortisol. I'm stressed out. I'm in a fight, kind of like a, survival mode, right?
Your body thinks there's no food available. Your body thinks you're in like a drought, famine, I'm never going to eat again. And, our bodies are brilliant. They adapt to our situations. But they're about 2,000 years behind. Like our world recently, evolutionary speaking, recently has become so fast. And so our bodies just haven't caught up. And that's why it takes a lot more kind of work on our front to make these decisions. Just because our world has adapted, and our food, like the food we eat, the oranges we eat are not the oranges our grandparents were eating.
At all.
And that is a huge, huge argument for the juice, for the juicing, is because you have to eat 8 oranges to get the vitamin C that your grandparents did.
That's insane.
8 oranges.
Wait,
and it's because we've ruined our soil.
Okay, so you're saying then that almost our, like the oranges we have now are less potent than the oranges they had back then, which is crazy,
Yes.
right? Because,
Yes.
when people talk about GMOs and, the process of genetic modification, right? It's to increase
Yep.
the yield and the amount of, kind of vitamins that these plants are producing, right? Or like, I guess to increase the yield specifically, but
No.
that's what they say. But that's not
That's what they say.
really the reality. Okay.
Of course. The reality is really the foods are genetically modified to pack in boxes uniformly and seamlessly. So the zucchini is the size we know it to
Right.
be today because of the boxes that zucchinis were shipped in. And so how can we make it most efficient? How can we fit as many zucchinis in this specific box? For example, they're selected to last longer. They're selected to not have variation. Orange carrots didn't exist. There were only purple carrots and white carrots and kind of reddish carrots that you almost never see
I've seen purple
anymore.
carrots before, but I've never seen white carrots or red carrots.
Yeah. So somebody decided, I don't want this rainbow of carrots. I want one color of carrots.
Wow.
So then carrots became this just kind of middle ground. So they're not this beautiful purple color or this like gorgeous white color. They're kind of this in between, which happened to be this orange variation. So it's many things like that, these baby carrots were never selected for their nutrient qualities.
Wow.
They were selected for many other kind of just corporate reasons.
That's so crazy.
So that's why, and that's why we really have to do more work like juicing to extract the medicine. And that's really what we're doing is extracting the medicine from our food. And that's what you do when you chew anyway. If you were to chew a carrot, you're juicing a carrot.
Wow.
That's
This is like one of those things that just makes you question your reality a lot.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like they're modified. But it's just like you don't think about like how that affects the nutrition of the actual thing you're eating. Like bananas are not supposed to be that big, or like most people know that.
Yeah,
like they're supposed to be like that big, but they're like gigantic now.
And seeds are a huge thing. If you are buying produce and you have the choice, always go for seeded. You want your watermelon to have seeds. You don't want your watermelon or your grapes to be seedless, because think about it. A human that was born without the ability to reproduce is, or I guess I shouldn't say that, but just like
I get where you're going,
something that can't,
they're
it's
meant
like
to have them in them.
And there's something missing that might be crucial for development.
There's something missing.
Whatever might be crucial, I guess, for whatever is consuming that, right? That totally makes sense.
Exactly. And so when you juice, say, a watermelon with seeds or grape with seeds, those seeds have trace amounts of protein. And that is a beautiful, perfect amount of protein that your body can use. And it doesn't hold up digestion. It doesn't start to putrefy or anything. And so that we don't need more than that, really. If you're doing a juice cleanse and stuff, you don't need to kind of freak out about not having enough protein, because that is seeds, enough. Like, in a lot of ways, they've lied to you, and we don't need that much protein.
That's
so crazy.
Totally makes a lot of sense, dude.
Okay, so we also know that you know a lot about hydration, and I also learned something watching a video the other day, and it was I don't want to mess up where she's from, but Indian culture, I think they drink warm water instead of cold, or because it's supposed to speed up digestion or like keep us at a normal rate of digestion. And when we drink cold water, it slows our digestion because our digestive tract is hot, and then you're putting cold water and cooling it down.
Exactly. You're like an Ayurvedic. You're really Ayurvedic.
Yeah, me just.
That is so, yeah. And that's a total, and this comes from Hindu practices of Ayurveda. And it's really like, how can I, like when you're washing dishes, the hot water gets the shit off better than cold water. Same way in your body.
And then I heard that she said that it hydrates you more than drinking cold water also, which that one didn't make as much sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that is yeah. So your body has to metabolize cold water. A calorie, like, a calorie is the amount of energy it takes to heat 1 gram of water 1 degree Celsius. So like that's how energy is measured, is how much you need to produce heat. And that kind of goes all in with the fire of digestion. So are you stoking the fire? Are you heating it? Or are you throwing cold water on the fire?
Yeah, that's so crazy to think about. Because I was like, warm water, I mean, I guess if you're used to it, it's probably fine. But like, as you know, we are taught to
we're just
drink
conditioned
cold water.
to drink cold water.
Yeah, we're conditioned to drink cold water. So
and that's
it tastes
what it is.
gross almost.
It's all learned. Yeah. So the thing about hydration and the kind of, if I'm going to touch on one thing about hydration, I want it to be this, that some water is just how calories can be empty. You can have empty calories. Your water can also be empty. And we talk about this and say, like, it's either activated and living, like the water, like this is living water. Coconut water is living water. And your body recognizes that as hydration. If you were to drink distilled water, like if you were to drink H2O, nothing else, your body doesn't recognize that because that's not naturally occurring. Water that's naturally occurring has what they call TDS, total dissolved solids. Did you guys see the Zac Efron thing he did about water? And that got everyone so into water, which was so cool. So I think I have one right here. Let's see if this one has. So this waters, I'm holding the one in front of me. This is just spring water. This total dissolved solids is 230, which is pretty good. Like 200 to 300 is like a good range for total dissolved solids. You want your water to have some minerals in it. And the reason for this is because water will seek minerals. So if you drink water that has no minerals, it will draw them out of your body and it will draw them out of your digestion, out of your digestive system, just to kind of be full, because water seeks these minerals. So it's kind of a weird concept to think about water being empty in that way. But yeah, you want your water to be activated with these things. The good news is you can activate water with lemon juice, with lime, with any citrus juice. You can make normal water active. Even cranberry juice, like if you just you have to activate water.
So I guess, because I'm thinking about it, right? So like I have like a water purifier, thing, and we pour the water into it. But I drink tons of water. Like ton to the point where like my stomach is full and I feel like just bloated but I still feel dehydrated, right? Like I still want to drink.
That's from the adrenal fatigue. When your adrenals are fatigued, you'll always feel thirsty and you'll always crave salt. You'll always have this sodium deficiency if your adrenals are overworked.
So how does activating water help with that? And then how do I do that easily, right? Like I don't usually just keep lemons around, but it's that simple, right? You just it is that simple, and I'll tell you why. So when we drink water, it either makes it so of the water in our body, there's intracellular water and extracellular water. So not all of the water, not all of our 70% water is actually inside our cells.
And that determines whether you're actually hydrated. So the water, for it to work, has to make it through the cell wall. And water doesn't, or your cells don't just accept any water. It has to be good enough to pass through the membrane. And so without getting too biochemy about the sodium channels and whatever, the water has to be activated for it to make it in your cells. So you're about 55-45 intracellular water to extracellular water. So the more intracellular water, the more hydrated you'll be. So the sodium in lime juice and lemon juice is what indicates to your body, to the cell membranes, oh, this is natural water. Oh, I recognize these minerals, and this is water to come in. Otherwise, it just is a flush. It just helps to flush, which is also necessary and good. Our bodies need that. Of course, it's not bad at all. However, you don't want to flush when you've just eaten, because if you drink too much water, you can dilute your digestive juices, and then they're not as powerful. Then your fire isn't as hot if you have too much water. So the yogis say you stop drinking water a half hour before eating, and then wait an hour after your meal to give your stomach ample time to digest. Because otherwise you're just diluting your stomach acid, and then you won't absorb as much nutrients. And sometimes it's the hardest thing, because you're so thirsty either before or after eating. And it doesn't have to be, super strict. You can take a few drinks, but definitely don't fill your belly with water right before or after eating.
So many things.
It is, because it's just like, our culture in general, right? We're just about consuming as many things as we can at once, right? You go to Taco Bell and you get that $5 box, and it's like 3 different items, and then you got yourself a Baja Blast on deck, and you eat it all together. You drink it all together, right? And
and it's so satiating,
at the time,
right? You feel so like,
But then I want to go take a nap after that, right? Like, you don't have, you definitely, and that's why I totally understand. That's why, like, we have so many health issues, especially in American, or I guess I shouldn't say American, but, the U.S. diet, right? And culture, because we don't pay attention to the things we consume. We just consume and consume.
Yeah. And then like I said, we think of it as a vortex, and then we don't pay attention to how we feel, or we don't attribute how we feel to the food we're eating.
And we're not taught to do that. We're
not taught to. Everything we do is learned, and so we just kind of learn to take an ibuprofen, take an Advil, take a nap. And really what we should be doing is like taking a walk, taking a breath work, And so really we just have to kind of unlearn these habits. And that's all they are, is just habits. And that's kind of been really freeing for me, is that these are just little habits I can pick up or let go of one by one.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about Ayurveda and yoga too, is like, you don't need to, sign up for the church and adopt the whole thing. You just take the pieces that suit you and what's beneficial to you, So if walking away from this, all you do is 1 lemon water in the morning, that's better than what you were doing the day before. You're helping your body. And I'm a huge juice cleanser. But my favorite thing to do and my favorite thing to recommend is to do a mini juice cleanse every morning. Because that's just kind of right in line with your body's natural processes. Your body wakes up a couple hours before you in the morning to start detoxing. So if you wake up, your body has basically packaged the trash and it's already on the curb. So if you drink some lemon water and just take out the trash and just kind of flow with the river, then that's really the best way to go. So yeah, my recommendations walking away is a warm, it doesn't have to be hot, Jenny, but just warm, as long as it's not ice cold, you know? And I totally get what you're saying. Like warm water at first is a little like,
it doesn't feel like something I want. It's just conditioned for the cold.
It doesn't feel good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Squeeze a little lemon in it, you know. Ginger lemon honey is my current favorite, most soothing kind of go-to. And yeah, and those are medicine.
Ginger, lemon, honey in water. Okay.
Yeah. In water. Yeah. So like ginger tea, you know, you can buy fresh ginger root and just cut it up, put it in. And then I, you know, let it steep with some honey and lemon for a few minutes and then drain it and I'm right on my way. And then you can add whatever herbs you like, you know, so use that as your starting point. And then go from there. Add some turmeric if you're feeling freaky, you know?
That's a good combo. Love that. We do want to know, what are some big moves coming up for you, as far as your, you know, the path that you're on currently, right?
Yeah.
Some things you're excited for.
I do have a couple of eggs in the incubator, which is not a good vegan analogy, but I do have a few ideas that are like about to birth and that I've been working on. I'm really excited about. So a website with videos. I just took a trip to Florida recently and filmed some yoga videos on the beach. So those will be coming soon. And this will be a completely different website, and it'll be a place where content creators can upload their amazing content, and then people can tip and donate directly to them.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it'll be really cool. The way we've kind of been talking about it is like a masterclass type of content, but like OnlyFans in the way that we get paid. So kind of best of both worlds for content creators. So that's kind of new for me. And the yoga studio I teach at is becoming a co-op.
It's becoming a co-op.
So that's kind of fun. It's always been just kind of nice little studio. But now we'll have a few more teachers and just a lot more community-based stuff. Cool. And that's so exciting to me because I love that. The yoga community is what it's all about.
Awesome.
Okay, so we're going to start ending our guest interviews with a little question. And for those of you who haven't listened to our Question Everything podcast, go listen to it because it was fun. But basically the premise of it is we ask, I don't want to say ask a question. We just bring up a topic that when you think, I don't know how to explain this. When you think about it too much, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So for instance, one thing that we talked about in a past episode was, or I talked about, Anthony still doesn't understand, I don't think.
I can't wrap my head around it.
But so everybody sees colors, right? And okay, so if I say the sky is blue, you're going to agree with that statement, right? But how do I know that you're seeing the same color blue that I'm seeing? Because we were just taught that the color of the sky was blue. Yeah. But what if it's not the same? In everything that I see, that is the color of the sky, is a certain shade, but it's not the same shade that you're seeing.
I'm totally with you. Do you guys have colorblind people in your family?
But that was one of the points that I brought up with Anthony, and he didn't get it still.
I just, for some reason, I don't understand it, right? I did know this one colorblind guy, and he sees green as orange, right?
Okay.
Right, so the grass is orange, trees are orange, and he says it's like...
Have you asked this question to everyone, or is this the question for me?
Your question. Yeah.
This is so crazy. Do you guys know that I'm synesthetic? I have synesthesia.
No.
Okay, so synesthesia is, I think it's like relatively common, but like most people don't know they have it. And one of my friends diagnosed me. So it's it's a neurological thing where your senses are cross-wired. So a lot of musicians will see music. They will see color like as music. So my experience is I see emotions as color, and it's like somatic. It's like on the body. So I like will feel colors, my emotional information comes in as color.
Yeah.
So that's so crazy that you guys would ask me this, because I'm always like seeing colors and like nobody else would
understand,
see those colors or understand. Yeah. So all the time I'm like, oh my God, that guy is a really gross yellow.
And they're just like,
something,
what?
And everyone's like, what? But then sometimes people are like, oh, I get what you mean. Like, it's kind of egotistical. Like, I'm like, oh yeah. So like, I've come to understand colors in a very like a frequency type of way. And that colors are numerical. The colors can be numerical because they represent a spectrum. So everybody's spectrum will be kind of skewed, I think. I don't think we will ever be talking about the exact same blue.
Okay.
Because we all have different lenses. Whether those lenses are like physical in your literal eyeball, or like lenses in how you understand the world.
The way your brain associates color with objects or feelings or, different senses, right? Okay.
Exactly.
That was like a good straight answer. Like, I don't think we would have gotten that from anybody else. Like, no, I agree though.
Like, funny. It's probably because I see colors.
Yeah, no, I agree though. Like, I don't think anybody sees the colors the same way. Or like, how do we know that somebody that, I don't know. Never mind. We're not going to get into that because it's a whole podcast that we've done.
I kind of know where you were going. And this actually came up in my anthropology studies a decent amount, because before I got into bones, I studied linguistics. So like the Native American tribes in like Southwest, like Arizona area, they don't differentiate green and blue. They have the same word for green, blue, turquoise, anything kind of in between is just one color. And it makes sense if you think about their environment. They don't have much green or blue. So why would they have that word? And so us living in Michigan, we have all of this beautiful blue, green. We have all of these turquoise, periwinkle colors because we need them. And that's our worldview, is like this world of water. But that's not there, so it might just even be the words you have or don't have to talk about it.
That's so true. That was like the perfect answer that you could have come up with.
She's been looking. Jenny's been looking for this.
It was the perfect question for me.
Nobody understands what I'm talking about when I say it, but I'm like, it makes sense.
I love questions like these.
It's so fun. I don't know. We love thinking about things that don't really make sense if you really think about them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because you have to come back to them.
Exactly.
You have to
and
let
they're good
sit.
Conversation starters too. What do you think that is? And then you go on a whole rant about it. So that's a little tip if you guys need.
Or in this case, conversation.
Yeah, conversation ender. All right, Siena, thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming on and being with us and sharing that knowledge. And we're going to hopefully implement some of the stuff we talked about today in both of our lives, and hopefully some of our listeners will also.
I know I will for sure, yeah.
Do you want to say your Instagram name so people can... We'll have it in the description too, as always, for listeners, but go ahead and say it.
Totally, but my Instagram and Facebook, everything is Yoga with Siena. That's also my Gmail. If you want to ask me questions, anything like that, I'm available to you. I'm your yoga guide, your nutrition guru. I'm available to you. So let's keep in touch. And like I said, I'm always and on Instagram, it's just kind of random, it's whatever I'm eating that day, whatever I think of, and just little tidbits, little bite size.
Yeah, I love watching your stories because I like always pick up a little bit of something, and I'm like, damn, I've never thought about food that way. So or just my health that way, right? So it's very transformative. She's got great content, folks. So please go check her out. We'll have the link in the description and everything.
Yep, the links for everything will be in our description. You guys can follow us also on Overboard or on Instagram at Overboard X Podcast. That's Overboard the letter X Podcast. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Have a good one.
Thank you guys. Bye.
We'll get to steadier waters eventually.